Welcome friends to the Do Less Be More channel. I'm Amy, and today we're going to talk about one of the biggest pain points that my clients have, and that is procrastination. Why do we procrastinate? As someone who procrastinates, can you relate to this statement? I perform well under pressure. If this phrase rings true for you, if you work great under pressure, it's likely that procrastination is a learned behavior, part of your childhood programming. Before we dive in further, I want to make a point to say that we don't always need to know why we do something in order to shift the behavior. But our curious minds and our egos like to make sense of things. So let's make sense of procrastination as it relates to our childhood programming so that we can reprogram, recondition ourselves into more empowered, proactive living instead of the current reactive living state that procrastination has us trapped in. So if you currently struggle with procrastination, let me know in the comments if you can relate to this. As a kid, do you have any memories of hurrying up to clean your room or do the dishes or finish your homework because your parent or caregiver or teacher was really angry or disappointed in you? Do you have any memories of knowing or sensing or fearing that something bad will happen? Like, I'm gonna get in deep shit if I don't get this thing done now. Many adults that struggle with procrastination do so because of this childhood programming. It was the fear of someone's disappointment or anger directed at you that created this sense of urgency. It became the motivator for you to get things done. So fear of negative emotions get you moving. But here's the interesting piece to this. Unless you sensed that impending doom of experiencing someone's negative emotions or of being punished or getting in trouble, you really weren't motivated to clean your room or do your homework or change the cat's litter box. No immediate threat and no immediate action required, right? Now I want you to take a moment and reflect on that unconscious rule programmed into your subconscious when you were a kid is playing out in your current adult reality today. Where in your personal or work life do you unconsciously live by the rule of no immediate threat, no immediate action required? Obviously, the threats might look a little different as an adult, but the root trigger is the same. You lack motivation unless there is a perceived threat, and that threat is experiencing negative emotions. So you don't want to be the guy on the team that can't get his shit together on time, causing the project to be delayed again. You don't want to piss off your boss or your wife, right? And so the thought of another's anger or disappointment directed at you springs you into action. Miraculously, you're able to complete in 2 hours what you've been procrastinating on all week. All because you are afraid of dealing with negative emotions. So on the surface, these negative emotions or uncomfortable emotions that you're afraid of are your team member's judgment towards you or your partner's hurt or your boss's frustration, but on a deeper, truer level, it's really about your own emotional experience. So let me explain what I mean by just posing a few questions for you to reflect on. When someone is angry or disappointed in you, how do you feel? What do you sense in your body? What emotion are you avoiding experiencing by jumping into action at the first sign of someone being angry or disappointed? This emotion that you're avoiding, perhaps it's shame or sadness, what is it trying to tell you? And what happens when you feel this negative emotion? Now, as you reflect on these questions, you might notice that you don't quite know how to be okay with those feelings when they come up. And so naturally, you've programmed yourself to avoid dealing with them by springing into last-minute action. And, I get that we've gone meta from I'm great under pressure to I don't know how to hold myself through shame, but the reality is that if you describe yourself as a procrastinator who thrives under pressure, you've also programmed yourself into believing that you don't need to, and perhaps don't even know how to, take action without this particular trigger existing. So you procrastinate until you experience the motivation of fear. Can you notice that when the trigger is not present, as in there's no fear of having to deal with uncomfortable feelings, you have a really tough time getting things done or even getting going at all. Without the threat of uncomfortable feelings on the horizon, there's no need to take action. And so you kind of waste your day on unimportant things. But this isn't how you want to live, is it? In the extremes of comfort and reactivity, being controlled by fear and external motivators, because you know, deep down, this is not how we grow. This is not how to be productive or live stress-free. And this is certainly not how we live in joyful alignment. So, as someone who struggles with procrastination and with this understanding of why you work great under pressure, what can you do to shift out of this pattern? There's two things that need to be done. The first is you need to get to a place of acceptance of those uncomfortable feelings so that you aren't controlled by the fear of experiencing them. The part of you that procrastinates until there is reason to take action is afraid of uncomfortable feelings. Now, spirituality is being good at feeling, and this takes practice. It helps to meditate, but the most powerful way to get good at feeling is to start allowing those uncomfortable emotions space to be felt. So the next time you notice yourself going into reactivity mode out of fear of disappointing someone or making someone upset, try just pausing instead and allowing yourself to sit with that fear and be curious about it, right? Allow yourself to experience the potential disappointment or anger. For more guidance and a deeper dive into this work, I highly recommend reading and working through the presence process. I'll leave the link for that book in the description of this video for you. The second thing that you need to do is rewire your brain. You need to create new neural pathways that reward you for taking inspired action without a sense of urgency. So this is action that is intrinsically motivated as opposed to reactivity dependent on the fear of uncomfortable feelings. Because up until now, your brain is wired such that action only happens from a place of fear. So you need to start practicing taking action without that perceived threat existing when everything feels calm and pleasant. Okay? And you can do this by using dopamine to your advantage. So what I want you to do is pause this video while you take care of a task that you've been procrastinating on. Something that has been on your to-do list for maybe a couple of weeks, something that will take no more than 20 minutes. Okay? Do it, and then once you've completed it, put on a feel-good song and dance. Okay, then come back to this video. So go ahead, pause this video now, and I'll wait for you. Okay, welcome back. So you've done it, right? Go ahead and share in the comments what you accomplished so we can celebrate with you. And let us know what song you played, because I'm always looking for new music, and how you feel right now. How does it feel accomplishing something without fear as your motivator? This is the empowered you. Taking the first step to rewiring your brain. You are moving away from being the procrastinator who works well under pressure, who can only get things done when fear exists, when there is a sense of urgency, to someone who is capable of getting things done at any time, even without a perceived threat of negative emotions looming over you. Someone who is proactive, in control, in charge of their life, and productive in a way that feels aligned. The reason that I wanted you to dance to a feel-good song is because music and exercise release dopamine. So when you complete a task on your own accord and then dance to music after, you're activating the reward center in your brain. I want you to create your own dopamine list, a list of activities that you can reward yourself with having completed a task without being pushed by fear. Some healthy examples are listening to music, moving your body, pleasurable physical connection like loving sex, therapeutic massage, hugs, petting your dog, or social connection, a phone call with a loved one. So keep your dopamine list handy and begin to make a habit of deciding what you're going to do as a reward for completing your task or project before you begin it. Dopamine is the motivation molecule, so you want to use it to your advantage as you rewire your brain. You want to reward yourself for proactive, inspired action instead of being pushed into reactivity by fear. The thing about procrastination and being great under pressure is that when we live this way, we are outsourcing our motivation. We aren't in control. We are reactive. We're not the drivers or the orchestrators of our own lives. We are not empowered. We are dependent. And living this way, reactive and unempowered, is not productive. It's not honoring the highest self, nor is it a satisfying or joyful way to live. At the beginning of this video, I mentioned that it's not always necessary to understand the why behind our behavior. But when we can connect with the deeper reason for our problem, so in this case, a behavior of procrastination that is no longer serving us, we experience clarity. And from this place of clarity, we can objectively see the part of ourselves that procrastinates because of the direct link between fear and action. And then, from that place of clarity, we can hold this part that procrastinates and only acts out of fear with compassion, with respect and understanding and love. This part that is procrastinating out of fear, that is reactively living, deserves to be seen, acknowledged, and appreciated. And when we allow ourselves to sit with that, without judgment or shame or denial, we dissolve the need to live reactively, to procrastinate until there is a threat. And we give ourselves permission to move forward into empowered living, to make choices and behave proactively. We begin to do the important things that matter now for us because it feels good. Thank you so much for watching. If you've liked this video, please give it a thumbs up, share it with your friends, and let me know what you think. I would love to hear from you. Don't forget to subscribe if you're not already a Do Less Be More subscriber. I do release a new video every week, and I will see you next week right here on the Do Less Be More channel.